Hey everybody, welcome to One Last Try Gaming. It is Griebs here, and I am joined by the magnificent Cook and the marvelous Bino. How are you gentlemen tonight?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm marvelous. Thank
I
you.
feel like I'm using the same adjectives over and over again. I gotta think of new ones. I need a thesaurus.
Yes, you
That's
do.
okay. I'm not going to fault you. I'm totally okay being called magnificent and marvelous.
I guess
Um,
that's true. I was just talking to you guys that no one ever says anything nice about me, and you actually do say something nice about me like every time we are on video. So I appreciate that.
We're constantly complimenting you behind your back too.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
So
most of when we talk about you is behind your back, actually.
we are trying something. I mean, it's more of a new thing that we've been doing a little bit recently. Is we're showcasing a game that we're playing on the side, but we're
Our
gonna
side piece.
we're gonna try a few of these here. I'm gonna go first. I have been playing a game recently called Sheltered. I picked it up for free as part of Epic Games' free series every week, which is a super deal. You can't really go wrong. I haven't really played any other free stuff before this, but I read the intro on it and I was like, hey, you know what? That kind of sounds fun. So I thought I'd give it a shot. Let me just can go in the background here. So this game is called Sheltered. You are a family of four living in a shelter. There's been some type of post-apocalyptic disasters going on. And it starts. The game starts where you get to choose your family. You get to create two adults and two children who are going to be stranded in this shelter, and your goal is to survive. Your goal is to go out on missions and look for things to scavenge, and then you're crafting and stuff like that. So it sort of joins the crafting type of games that we've been seeing a lot of recently with like Valheim and the new worlds that just came out from Amazon. So I'm just gonna sort of show you a bunch of stuff. I think you can see the mouse here, right? Yes. So this is some gameplay that I've done previously. We pre-recorded it. I'm gonna go through some of the things here. So, you're sorry. Go ahead.
Everyone in here is your part of your family then? Or
That's
do you
correct.
control only specific people, or can you choose everybody?
I control all four of these people, and I can send them off on away missions to go scavenging. I have a dog here. His name is Finally, that I just highlighted for a moment. Over on the right-hand side here, there's a generator, which you constantly have to fill with fuel. These blue containers here are water that you need to make sure they're filled in order to drink. On the left-hand side, each character, you'll notice, has a bunch of different attributes. So the first one is how thirsty they are, what their food is like, their sleepiness, whether they need to poop, whether they need to take a shower, and then down here are things like their stress level. And I forget what this one here is.
Oh, we can't see your mouse right now if that's what you like
Right
an
there?
overlay of what you're directing at. No, I see your mouse in like the.
I see your in-game mouse.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, the recording will have it. So for all those watching, it's right over here. Good to know. Anyway, I really appreciate knowing that you're not seeing my mouse, but I'll direct things more visually and descriptively. So the guy is working on the surface now in the yellow shirt. He is hammering on the O2 on the water filter. So whenever it rains, that filter is gathering water and collecting it in your blue bins. What's happening here? Let me just jump to a couple spots here. So I'm going to jump to.
Wait, sorry, real quick. Who is that guy walking up top? I guess there's other people in the world.
There are
then,
other people, and you
besides
can
him?
recruit them. You can trade with them. Over here, what I'm doing now is you see I've got the generator highlighted. I'm adding fuel to the generator, so you have to make sure you always have fuel available to power things because a lot of your things like the freezers and your stoves need power to work.
Do you just collect like biomaterial to run the generator?
You have to go scavenging to pick up the fuel or do trades. Now, there's a white curtain on the middle level where I'm taking a shower now. It says behind the green thing. So you have to make sure you stay clean because if you get too dirty and then you start eating food, you get food poisoning. There's always this level of dust on the surface that you have to make sure you take a shower and clean the dust off because it's radioactive. And then in a couple of moments, I'm about to send someone on an expedition. So I go over to the radio in a second, right here, and I say set up expedition, and then so you choose who goes on their expedition. So you choose anyone from your family, you go to the map, and this shows you a map of all the things around you, and then you can send them off to places. The green ones I've already explored, the blue ones I haven't yet. This just goes a big overlay of what you see, and then you can come across things that aren't listed on the map as you walk through them. Now, in order to go on a walk, you see in the top left it says water required. So you have to bring water with you, so you have to have a certain amount of water in order to go on a trip, because you're bringing water with you.
Is there a risk of dying on that trip?
There is a risk of dying on that trip. I have lost many good people on these trips. You have to make sure you pack a gas mask, some satchels to carry stuff. The gas mask, if you don't carry it, you come back with radiation poisoning. You have to go with weapons, so that if you do come across an encounter like that, there are wild animals, there are other people that want to fight you sometimes. You can also bring things that for trading, because you're going to go off and do some scavenging. You come across people who want to trade with you.
Could you trade a family member?
No, you can't trade people. That would be gross.
Wait. So
Had
hold
to
on,
ask.
a couple other questions. So it seems
Yeah.
like only 2 people in the family have these hazmat suits on too. Is that
So
does that
your
actually
shelter
have a
comes with 2
different-
hazmat suits, and the hazmat suits are for doing stuff on the surface at your shelter, and you can choose to put them on or take them off. And so those 2 guys are my worker bees who are doing work around the house, and so they're keeping the hazmat suits on. That's what's
So it
going
looked
on.
like your neighbor wasn't wearing any protection like that. How come?
That's a flaw in the game, definitely.
And are those real people or just like AI?
Nope,
that
those
walk
are just
across?
AI. This is entirely single player. So I've just gone to a trap. There's still wildlife that roams around. You can set up traps up there to harvest food, and then the food goes into your freezer automatically, and then you can cook with it.
So you sped up time there too. Looks like.
I did speed up time, so there's a lot of element of waiting sometimes, especially when your characters are sleeping or you're waiting for rain to come down. One of the
You
big...
use the Eye of Agamotto.
Okay, yes.
The
one
time
of the
stone.
flaws, one of the flaws that I had with this game is that the rain is just too much of a roll of the dice. There's too much RNG with the rain. So I had a lot of water. Okay, so this is my 2 people that went on the mission, and they've now met someone on the road. So now you have to action this to see, do you want to trade with them? Do you want to bully them?
Oh, wow.
Do you want to fight them? Things like that. So now they're trading me all those things, and in return I'm trading some medicine. So
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. So like the missions that they go on are mostly passive, but if there's an event that happens, then you get the screen come up, I guess.
Exactly right, and you
Yeah.
can choose to have it handle it for you sometimes, but I find that's a gamble also, because when like I've lost someone as a result of saying you handle it, not me, and then all of a sudden I lost someone. I'm like, oh, well, I think from now on I'll actually just control it so that I can have more control whether something's happening or not. So let's
And
see.
then, sorry, do each people have like different abilities or class? Like, are there class types here, or is it just?
There are
the people?
class types, but there are different, like they have different charisma levels. They have different IQs. There's different strengths. So certain strengths need to be able to use for certain weapons to be used effectively. If you don't have the strength necessary for a specific weapon, then you might not be able to use it effectively. Like, so you're only going to hit someone for 5 damage, even though it's supposed to hit for 20 damage or something like that.
Are those random, or do you get to select like?
During the character creation, you get to choose how the number allocation is for those
Got
things.
it. Okay. And then,
here,
so then, what happens when someone dies? Because you mentioned you lost some people there. Like, do you
Oh, that's another
get
one
to-
of my issues with the game. You create this family. Like, if you look in the top right corner, it tells you you're on day 29 here. The highest I think I got, I think, was about 75 or so. I read people online who are getting to the 200 and 300 days. But as soon as you lose someone, like, let's remember your core family, it's really disheartening. Like, I mean, the characters receive this trauma. So now they've gone to this small house and they've met someone, so now they're having an encounter. I just always try to do trades because I'm not really interested in bullying people. So there's an element of crafting in the game, and I'll show you that shortly. So I'm looking for certain parts that are beneficial for what I'm trying to craft. And then when you have these encounters, their charisma goes up. But I forget what I was talking about. Oh, yeah, so when your character dies, then there's this trauma level for the characters in the game. But at the same point, like, because I like these characters and I've gotten used to them, it kind of takes a toll. I'm like, well, I don't know if I really want to play it now that I've lost the main dad or whatever. Like, so the times I've lost people, I'm basically like, okay, you know what, I'm going to restart this game and try different strategy, because so you can go so long and do so well, and then all of a sudden they meet a bear and die, and then you're like, crap, now that's all for naught almost.
Yeah, so is it a run-based game then? Like, you like reach a because you were saying that you saw some people get to like day 200 or whatever. So is it like
Yeah,
once you reach a certain
what
point you stop?
denotes like
Another very good
yeah.
question. So if you look in the top right corner, let's see. So this is the expedition reporting back. They found some stuff, so I'm just picking it all up, putting it in my pockets. In the top right corner, there's this minivan, not minivan, this camper van, and you have to find parts for it. Let's see if I have that on my list of things.
Interesting.
Oh, you got to get the van running.
I don't have it. So you have to get the van running. So my initial impression was that the goal of this game was to get the van running, and then you're on Easy Street. But no, after day 70, I finally got the van running with I scavenged all the parts, but it just becomes another tool that you can use to go around and collecting stuff. And as a result, you basically have infinite pockets sort of to pick stuff up. And now you have to use the fuel not only to power the generator, but also to fuel the camper van for driving. But it means that you go faster places and stuff like that. Here, let me pause this for a second. Let me just go back. So here, to upgrade the workbench, you see on the right-hand side, those are the pieces I need and the pieces I have. So I need rubber, lens, switches, duct tapes, and woods. So that sort of tells me the different things that I need to upgrade the workbench to create more items. And so it's constantly trying to pick stuff up. There's certain items that are very popular, like the wood and the nails and the duct tape, that you just constantly need to keep getting.
So then does it just keep going forever then, or is it?
And then once I completed the camper van and found out there is no end game, it just goes forever. That's basically the point where I was like, you know what, this game is kind of it's not that exciting anymore because there wasn't an end goal. I feel that's one of the flaws in the game. There's nothing you're working towards except for keeping them alive. But once you get to a certain point where you have self-sufficiency in terms of water, you're recycling materials and turning them back into other stuff that you can craft with.
It doesn't get harder at each day.
Exactly. Like then it's just, do you need to go out there and do stuff, or you just sit here and watch your guys eat the food from the
Play
surface?
The Sims, pretty much.
Yeah. So those are some of the flaws. So here, let me jump
Sorry,
to
one other question.
Yeah.
I got lots of questions. Sorry. So
Go ahead.
you had said you made it to day 70. Like, how long did that take you in terms of like gameplay time?
Probably about maybe 10 hours,
Oh wow.
something like
Okay.
that. I mean, that took a few tries though, right? So I mean, a single game probably didn't
Yeah,
take
yeah,
like
yeah. I'm
that
just trying
long.
to
But
get a sense for like how long the gameplay loop is.
so when you
But you find that when you get into it, when you like sit down and you get playing it, is it one of those games where you're like, holy shit, I've just spent 3 hours playing this and I didn't think that I had done that, or does it feel long when you play long?
no, you're spot on. Like you just like, oh, just a little bit more. Let me just see what else is in this house. Or you're like, I'm gonna play until these people come back from their expedition. But by the time they come back, you've sent someone else off, and you don't want to save while someone's out and about. So the time goes quickly. I lost a lot of time to this game in a short period of time. I went pretty hardcore on it for 2 weeks, and then I kind of gave it up. Like I said, once I found there was no real end game. Let me just go back a second. There's a screen there. So this is the workbench, things that you can build. So there's like bulletproof vests at the beginning. You have a really weak shower that uses up a lot of water, and then later on you can get a more efficient shower. There's bookshelves that you can build to relieve stress for the people. There are bigger freezers you can make. There are better beds that are more comfortable, things like that. So I mean, it's neat to sort of see things progress, but then once you've sort of unlocked it all, again, it becomes a little bit like monotonous. One thing you can do also is you can recruit people, and then they join your little party here. And for a lot of it, they're self-sufficient. They control their own actions. They shower themselves. They go to sleep on their own. Whereas your own family members, you gotta control and make sure that they are sleeping and eating and stuff like that. But the issue I found was that at one point my water got contaminated, but the people that were living with me weren't smart enough to know, don't drink the water. So they would go to the water and drink it. Now all of a sudden they have food poisoning or radiation poisoning, and I have to use my resources to, like my tablets, my anti-radiation tablets, to heal them. And it's like, well, I don't really want to do that. So then you kick them out of your house, and then of course they're not happy that you got kicked out of their house, so then they sabotage your house on the way out. So it's I didn't
That
find
sucks.
a big benefit to having other people in there. I'd like to just keep it to my close knit little family here. Let's see. Around here.
When you encounter someone like this, can you choose to just not work with them and like beat them up and take all their stuff? Have you done that?
So right there, this guy just said, "I want to join you." Here? Let me just. Here, you want a partner? Look no further. I'm pretty old now, and I've got to be this that way by being good. This good. Now on the right hand side, his stats are hidden, so I don't know what type of guy I would theoretically be recruiting, but I didn't do any of these recruits at this point in the game. So I would just see this and then I would reject them. Now, if this game was realistic, I feel that sometimes if you reject them, they should attack you, kind of like you're thinking, but that was never the case. You just reject them and then they run off and sulk. And I say, okay, sorry about that. My attitude is what's kept me alive, and I'll still be surviving long after the wolves have stripped your bones clean. But
Ooh,
then you see his
throwing some
stats and you're
shade
like,
there.
hey, look,
That's a
those
threat.
stats aren't that great, so I wouldn't have wanted him anyway. A 1 for charisma, 5 for intelligence, a 3 for athleticism, and a 1 for strength.
I could see that charisma coming through that little shade he threw at you. Jackass doesn't know how to talk to people. So this is like the only screen you see then for the majority of the game,
That is correct.
besides those like cutaways.
And so you can
Wow.
you can make it bigger. You can build
That would get
onto that
tiring,
bottom
I
layer.
You have
But I mean,
any
there are
video
periods of
that?
time where of the building expanding.
Just what it looks like at a different stage.
Yeah. So here I'm going to craft an item. I'm crafting a. I'm trying to find a place to put this new spot to create a third floor, and I remember having some trouble with that. So then
Oh, interesting.
there we go.
Okay.
So then you have to send
down.
someone to go do it, and then so as usual you just fast forward it. So they're
This
building
gives me a little bit of XCOM vibes because like when you made the comment about how you invest so much time in like your main family,
Yes.
and then like once they die you feel
You
just
lose
so
that one guy and
dejected.
you're like, this
Yeah.
my crew's broken. I'm gonna start over.
I get that too, and then this feels to me like the main base in XCOM as well. But I guess in XCOM you're doing more than just building up this base, so that part, but just like building down and like building these sections for kind of gives me that vibe as well. That's interesting.
Now there are some sort of funny-ish moments. There's a part right here. Or is it 28? So here, I have absolutely no water, and I've had no water for a long time. Again, because the rain is just a little bit too random in my opinion. And my main character here, David, has to pee. If you look at the left-hand side, you'll see his pee indicators in the red. So here he says, finally done it, finally lowered myself to that of an animal. He pees on the ground because you need water to use the toilet. So it's comical, but
Did you
it's
just like pee up top?
no. I mean,
You have
you're
a
not-
shower. Just pee in the shower.
I think you need running
It's all
water
the same
still for that.
drain.
It's all the same drain.
So yeah, I mean, and then
It's on Netflix now, by the way.
because you can't shower, you can't eat because you can't eat when you're dirty. So it was this frustrating thing. And I've also got a clip here, 43, where we have. So now the power's out, and so I have fuel, but I don't know why I'm not. There we go. Now I'm adding fuel to the generator. And
Oh, the eating
somehow
sounds gross.
I've eaten food that's gone bad. Now I have food poisoning. Both these characters have food poisoning now. So then they go around and actually literally go puking on all the floors. And then if you notice, just to the right of the beds, there's a little mop and bucket. You have to send people around to go cleaning up because if you have a dirty apartment or dirty shelter, you get dirty quicker. There, I just threw
If
up.
there's
Don't get
no
threw up.
water, does the mop not work?
It does work with no water. That's a good point. Here, let me show you what the rain.
Breaking that suspension of disbelief there.
So here's where I finally get some. But I basically was fast forwarding it for multiple days, just trying to get rain. So here's now there's rain on the surface, which then goes to the water filter, which then fills up the blue tanks that I've got of water, which then gives you water to do stuff with. But until you do that, that's basically like it's a lifesaver until you have it.
And
Can you build more water collection tanks later in the game? Like,
Yes,
how
you
many
start
did
with
you
one.
start with?
You start with one, and you have to build more so that you can collect more when it does do raining and stuff like that. And then you can upgrade the water filter so you can process the water faster, or so it like. The other thing about this game is that every single mechanical
Sorry, one
device.
sec. That neighbor up there looks real fresh, like he just came from the mall. He doesn't look like he fits in with your drab.
It's true. Let's see if he comes to visit us. I forget what his plan is. You can get on the radio and suggest people to. You can try to get people to come trade with you. He's walking on by, but so you start with one of those. But every single mechanical device, every single device that gets used in some way, degrades, and so you have to constantly be fixing it, and that's a little bit frustrating. You have to fix the shower, fix the toilet, fix the freezer, fix the beds, fix the O2 filter, fix the water filter, fix the everything needs fixing. It's just constant. It's like I feel like a make work game. I mean, it was fun in that you're controlling these people, which you create this little family, but looking at it from a third party perspective, it's like, oh, what was I really doing with all that time? Just it feels very similar, Sims-like. It's funny. It's a really good comparison for it. Having the dog was fun. You can have different pets. You can have dogs, fish, a horse, a snake, cat, and you have to feed the dogs, all those animals too. And then of course that uses up your own food supply. So go ahead.
You mentioned that the rain was RNG, so is like every run that you do essentially different, or is it the same?
They're very different because of the RNG and the different items that you get. The maps are different every time. I'm going to come up on the options screen here that I chose. This, I think, was when I switched to easy, because I was getting frustrated with losing people. These are the options you can choose. The probability of rain happening, how plentiful the map resources are, how I think never came across a breach. Apparently there are breaches where guys come into your base and try to take your stuff and attack you and stuff. The density faction, I didn't quite get that a lot either.
Fog of War.
Where you can see the maps and stuff like that, the map size, and how docile the population is and stuff like that. When I was reading about it, sometimes people would say they let someone into their shelter, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, that guy would just like kill one of the kids and then run off. It's really weird. That never happened to me, but that's one of the reasons I was very hesitant to let people into my house. This is the part where this guy's gonna go pee. No, not yet. And then here, let me jump to one last little thing here, where we have an encounter with wildlife, and I think that's all the stuff that I was going to show here. We're just picking up stuff from a...
Is that a noose?
It's rope. It's rope. It is a noose, but it's rope. So this guy's now at the intercom, and he says, I'm being chased by something, let me in. So basically it's like a recruit screen. I say no, so good luck, buddy. You're on your own.
You stranded him?
Again, there's no consequence to that, where I feel there should be, right? Like these actions don't have consequences. And then here, I've stumbled across some wildlife and it looks hungry. So now this guy's going to go against some wildlife that he met. So this is the encounter.
This guy. Oh, that's one of the characters. Oh boy. Did you control this at all? Okay,
yes, no, so now it's like a RPG. And I was just like, I'm happy to let me use my whole clip to take care of this guy.
Wow. One shot was almost enough.
Yeah, he barely hurt you.
That's hilarious, Bino.
Yeah. It's a grizzly fight, I'd say.
So there you go. I mean, that's most of the game there. I mean, there are, like I said, there are breaches, so you can set up traps. You can set up little hide holes in your shelter to hide from that. I never came across that stuff, but I also didn't try the higher difficulties. And like I said, after 75 days, I stopped. So, but I mean, it was a fun waste of time. But I think that's all it was. It was, it was an easy cutoff once I found there's no end game to it. But
that sounds like that'd be a really good back of the box quote. Fun waste of time, Griebs.
There you go. So yeah, that's Shelter. That's my showcase
that's
for.
The title of the video.
For 2 weeks,
There you
go. I spent a lot of time playing this, and a lot of it was basically you see right here, just fast forwarding, waiting for people to come back from missions or what have you. So That's
Interesting.
Sheltered. It was
So-
free on the Epic. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you think you'd recommend that we play this or no?
So I was thinking about this when I was making the video. My impression is that this is a game that has a lot of potential. It's from 2015, so I mean it's basically run its course. But if they could sort of get to like more of an end game or have like a quest system, like there are really small quests in it. I have a really small example of one. It's not great.
Maybe something that would allow someone to speed run it and go, I got the motorhome running by day 36 or something like that.
Definitely. I mean, you could do that. I mean, there's at the very end when I was playing, I came across a military helicopter that had crashed, and of course the military was unstoppable at the time, so I couldn't do anything with them. But I think there are some things further on in the game, but it's just it's a lot of effort to get to that point. I felt with very little reward, especially since things can happen. So right here, one guy came to the intercom and says, "Do you have any circuit breakers? Can I get 5 circuit breakers?" That's basically a quest. But I mean, it's not really a quest. It's just some guy who wants circuit breakers. It's. I feel like a proper quest system could help it, or I don't know. So it's a fun game, but I don't think I would recommend it to people, except for if it's free and if you just want to play it for a week just to get a feel for what it's like. But it does get monotonous in the end.
It seems like it could be a pretty good mobile game. I don't think I'd be interested in playing with it, but I could see this being like as a good mobile game where you could kind of pop in and out.
Yeah, when you were playing it,
Okay.
Griebs, was your entire attention focused on this, or did you have it up on one monitor while you were really reading stuff on the other monitor?
Oh yeah, no, it was just sort of basically a background thing. You could let it do its thing while, like, basically you're waiting to see little red lines beside your characters that they need to pee or poo or whatever, and then that's when you action. Otherwise, it just runs. Or like I said, you're just fast forwarding, waiting for something to happen.
Cool.
Sounds like my real life workday.
So that is Sheltered. Like I said, it was free in the Epic Store, and it might be free again because sometimes they do rerun games, so you can check that out. But otherwise, if I was to give this a rating, I think I would rate its potential as a 3 or 3.5. But in the end, I think it's probably just a 2.5 because it felt like it was lost time as a result. Once I found out there was really no point to what I was doing.
I
Wow.
gotcha. I think that's fair.
Yep. I'd give you a 5 out of 5 for this presentation, though.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Awesome.
sharing the game with us.
Fantastico.
I appreciate your compliments, Magnificent Cook. So that was
Thank
our
you.
showcase of Sheltered. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned. We'll have some more showcases coming up soon. Have a good night.
Later.
Bye-bye.